What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Kreative podcast. It's your boy Bobby. Man. The Astros pulled it out, man. World Series champs for the second time in their organization. Man. Before we get into it, please like, subscribe, comment. We appreciate the support as always. Man, I think right now we are 4 away from 700. So, hey, please share with your family and friends. But let's get into it. Woo! Boy. Man. Phillies down. Man, this was a big year for Philadelphia sports. I'll tell you that. Eagles are 8-0 or 9-0. Phillies, man, they breezed through the postseason. I mean, they ran through the postseason. It's not like they didn't beat good teams. I think even the soccer team in Philadelphia is pretty good. But they lost as well. But man, the Astros, man, they did what they were supposed to do. I said this on paper. They were the better team. They were on paper. They were the full, complete team. But the Astros was the hot team. I'm sorry, the Phillies were the hot team. And that's why I chose the Phillies. I mean, their bats. You know what? Let's talk about basketball. Just a little bit comparing it to basketball. You know, they say you live by the three, you die by the three. And there's certain teams that when you get hot, and when you can't hit threes like you used to, you have a really great chance of losing the game. But let's compare that to the Philadelphia Phillies. It just seems like their bats just started again offense because that's why they was able to breeze to the playoffs. Like I said, their pitching is respectable, but it's not something to be feared. Defense is good, you know, just like any other major league professional team. You know, if you're playing in the pros, your defense is respectable. It doesn't matter who you are. Astros had Gold Glove win over there in Kenya, and this is his rookie year. But what really got them and propelled them to the World Series was their bat. And they live by the bat, they die by the bat. And these last two games, in Game 6 and Game 5, which had a really good in both of these games, it wasn't like a blowout. You know, like we covered in Game 5, it just blew out in 1 inning or 2 innings. 1 inning, and then that was it. It got a shutout. So again, the pitching wasn't horrible on the Phillies side, but when it was time for the Phillies to answer the call, they couldn't answer. And that's what the Astros did, what they do, and what they do have on paper as far as their pitching, because their pitching is good and it's better than the Phillies. Once they had the opportunity to capitalize and they was up, they dominated, and the Phillies couldn't answer. So, man, shout out to the Astros World Series champs. Second time in their organization that they've won it. I can't have any complaints about it. You know, one of the things I like about the Astros is that they actually build their teams. They actually use their farm systems. They actually put things together like a baseball team should. I mean, they are right now having another wave of superstars. I mean, you have Altuve, Correa left and went to the Twins, but I thought he would sign back. What's his name to play? Brantley. You know, he was injured all year, but they say he was a leader in the locker room. Jordan, I said it. Jordan. I said Jordan. This man hits a home run in the 6th inning. He has had a bad playoffs. I think he was like, there was a stat. I think he was 2 for 32 or 30 at like 30 at bats or 20 something at bats. He's only hit the ball like twice or 3 times. But I said, let's say again, Game 4, maybe Game 3, he's struggling. But I said, if he ever decides to turn the bat on, it can change the series. He's just that much of an impact of a player. He's a heart of their lineup. He's a power hitter. And hey, Game 6 in Houston, he goes wide open, hit that home run, and the fans are going crazy. But there's a lot of leadership, a lot more experience on the side of the Astros. You know, a lot more leadership. A lot of people have been there, but they have a young group of guys as well that can very well take them the mantle. I don't know if the Astros are that. I don't know. I know the Astros are not going nowhere no time soon. Yeah, they'll be back in the playoffs. They're going to defend that chip. When they win the World Series, it's always hard to go back to back in any sport, but we'll see. Let's pull up the box score real quick and go over a couple things. And yeah, man, here we go. So, yep. So, like I said, final score: Phillies got 1 run. The 1 run came by Kyle Schwarber, hit the home run, and the feeling was when he hit that home run, you're feeling like, okay, all right, this is probably the Phillies game to win, and we're gonna go to a game 7. But Astros, look at that, 0 runs through everybody. 0 run through the 6 inning. Like I said, it wasn't like a clinic. It wasn't like it was a game that Phillies couldn't have. It's just one of those games where the Astros just responded. It was really, again, this came down to hits. Who's going to get the first hit, and then who's going to defend? But like I said, Jordan opened it up with a monster home run, and that was it. So winning pitcher was Valdez. Valdez had a great pitching game. 6 innings, 1 ER, 9 Ks, 2 walks, compared to Wheeler. Wheeler had 5 innings, 2 errors, 5 Ks, 1 walks. I would say Valdez was a lot more dominant. Obviously, you can see. Man, I wish they would have went with somebody else as Wheeler. But I know the pitcher rotation was, they were, probably had to save some pitchers for Game 7 potentially if they had to get this game. So I understand that. So the Phillies were already at a disadvantage to me, because remember you had, Valdez again. He looked 2-0. He pitched great in the World Series in Game 2. But they also had another monster that was waiting. They had Garcia. And Christian Garcia was, obviously he's the guy that threw the combined no-hitter. So they had some arsenals in their tank, man. The Phillies were definitely score.
Ooh, I like him.
Since they didn't score, I'm sorry, since they didn't win in Game 5, it really hurt them. So they really put them behind the 8 ball, but saved the Presley. Presley is another dominant figure. He saved it. He had to save in Game 5, thanks to the catch out there by McCormick in center fielder that really saved the game. But Presley, he's a dominant closer, so he closed the game. Again, man, the Phillies died. Like I talked about the Golden State Warriors, where how you die by the 3, you live by the 3. The Phillies, they die by the bat, they live by the bat, man. And look at that. Look at that. The Bryce Harper, he didn't have a really good World. I would say he didn't have a good World Series. Look at that, 200. 4 at bats, no hits. And I think with him, he's injured. So he normally plays right field this year, but he injured his elbow, which has caused him not to be able to throw like he should. And his doctors advised him, that he still needs some more work. So the Phillies, it's a couple times throughout the year that they tried to have him play right field, but he just can't make the throws from outfield to the infield. So this year they shut him down and put him as a DH, and I know that put him in a kind of a spin because, and I'll say this, when you are just a designated hitter, you would think again that all I got to do is hit the ball, but it's the ebb and flow of the game. Being out there on defense, keeps you engaged, keeps you active, and I truly think that it affected him, even though it didn't affect him all playoffs because he had a hell of a playoffs, hitting the ball and keeping his team engaged. But I just think if he was able to, be out there on the defense, he would have been, it would have been beneficial for him, a little bit more beneficial for him, so he can keep his teammates engaged. Because it's just hard. That would be hard, especially when you've been doing that. Like, there's some people who are just designated hitters their whole career, but Bryce Harper, I mean, he always played both sides, defense and offense. So you have to mentally get adjusted. Not an excuse. I mean, hey, like I said, he played well in the playoffs, but it would have made a little bit of an impact. But yeah, Swerver was the only one. And again, Baum has has a higher average. Baum, Baum had a good series, but yeah, you go down. I mean, it's just the Phillies, they just got shut down again. Astros, again, hits. I mean, Tuve, Pena, shout out to Pena, MVP. Pena's had a great year. We'll get back to him in a minute. But Alvarez, Bergman, Tucker, Vasquez, Mancini, McCormick. I mean, the bottom of the line of the last four. I mean, even Tucker. Tucker didn't have a great series like I thought he would. Because Tucker, he's another dangerous hitter because he's a part of the hard day lineup, but he still contributed. But shout out to Pena, man. Pena. Put this graphic up. Where is it at? There it is. Shout out to Pena. Pena, man, he's had a hell of there it is. Oh, we'll just let that play. He's had a hell of a year. He's a rookie. Took over for Correa. There was a lot of doubts. Correa, was one of the hometown favorites with Altuve, one of the captains. But Correa came in his rookie year, and he got a Gold Glove this year for his defense. In the American League Championship, he was an MVP. He's the World Series MVP, and he got a ring all in his rookie year. So, shout out to Pena for Shout out to Pena. There we go. Shout out to Pena for winning that world, for getting all those accolades in that year one, man. Somebody in the comments asked me, who I think would be the MVP, and I said it was kind of hard to say because there wasn't no clear-cut favorite to me. But I did say in the comments that if I were to give it to somebody, it would be Pena because he has been consistent, making great defensive plays, making a couple of plays when it matters as far as on offense and hitting the ball. And I'm not surprised they gave it to Pena because if out of everybody, he was, I don't want to say the clear-cut favorite, but if I had to give it to somebody, it would be Pena. So shout out to Pena, man. And it's a hell of a way to start off your rookie campaign, man. You started off with a ring, a couple Gold Glove, a couple MVPs. I mean, to me, it don't get no better than that. It don't get no better than that. And what I wanted to end on this. Dusty Baker, shout out to Dusty Baker. Dusty Baker, man, he finally got a World Series ring as a coach. He has one as a player. He did play with Hank Aaron, but Dusty Baker's been a coach for over 25 plus years, and he's finally got one as a player. And he's been in position a couple of times to get this ring. But man, the thing about Dusty Baker, everybody loves Dusty. Everybody, all across the globe. That's the one thing I love about sports. Sports brings everybody together. It doesn't matter what color, race, creed, culture. It doesn't matter. The thing I love about Dusty is, on this Astros team, being able to effectively communicate with, the type of players that were on this team. I'm not talking about race or anything. I'm just talking about, he was able to effectively communicate and get everybody on the same page and bring everybody together to complete one common goal. And that's a hell of a manager. And that's what coaches and managers are supposed to do. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, where you're going. You, as a manager or as a coach, as a leader, you're supposed to be able to look at people's strengths, their weaknesses, and to be able to communicate effectively with them and to get everybody on the same page for one common goal. And he's done that. A couple things I want to throw out about Dusty. It means a lot. I know it means a lot more than him. I want to dig into this article just a little bit. Clinton Yates article, but he's a third, and it's kind of unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but this is the first time. I think I covered it. I said it, but this is the first time since 1950 that an African American baseball player has not in the World Series. But he is the third manager, the African American manager, to win a World Series, which that's huge. One of the first African American manager to have over 2,000 wins. Man. I mean, just right here. Hold on. Put this right here. There we go. There we go. Just right there. Look at that. Third black manager to win the World Series. Like I said, he has over 2,000 wins. I mean, he's 73 years old. 73 years old. I mean, 73 years old. So, I mean, I know he's not going to be partying too hard, but he's definitely going to push the limits when his first chip as a head coach. But you know, it's a lot, man. You know, I'm happy for him. I really, like I said, I wanted the Phillies to win, but I'm just happy for Dusty Baker, and I'm only happy for Dusty Baker. Oh, I had the wrong one up. Oops. There we go. Oh, sorry, y'all. Trying to hang it up. It's not what I hang it up. There we go. There it is. There it is. There we go. So again, look at the headline. Baker's first Major League Baseball championship manager was an inspiration, a rare opportunity to celebrate black achievement in baseball. So, like I said earlier, first time since the 50s where African Americans done playing in the World Series. And I want to touch on that a little bit. You know, baseball is my favorite sport. Baseball was my favorite sport growing up. And it's not that, you know, I would say the MLB can do a better job of, you know, promoting it, but it's also us too. You know, it's just not, we are more pushed towards football and basketball because, you know, they say that we're naturally more talented and gifted towards those areas. But, you know, I've always felt that, you know, we just never really got the chance. It's never in the areas that we grow up in. It's always basketball courts or football fields, but baseball fields, you got to go to certain areas to do that. And it's a lot of time and effort. And unfortunately, you know, we just don't put that time and effort into baseball. So, and baseball is such a mental game. You know, it takes a lot of discipline. And I know hey, look, you know, I'm African American, you know, talking with, you know, obviously I have a lot of African American friends and family. And, you know, it's just the game is boring because it's slow. Basketball is fast, up and down the court, and baseball is hitting. You know, everybody likes fights. I'm sorry, football is hitting and making those, you know, ooh plays, and there's a lot of fights, and people want to see hits and all that. But to me, baseball is one of the ultimate sports, man. It's a disciplined game. It's a mental game. It's a game where you have to be disciplined, and you know, we have to, you know, it's a lot of, one thing I'm seeing in this generation coming up, you're going to see a lot more African American players. I guarantee that. There's a lot of African American players that are switching, well, not switching, but they're putting their focus on baseball. They want to put the emphasis on baseball. They want to play it. They want to see what it's more about. They want to learn the game. They want to be one of the best at it. You know, I go, you know, I play baseball. My kids play baseball, and I take them to the batting cage, and I tell you what, I see a lot of African Americans at the batting cage now. As opposed to when I was playing, you know, either I was in the minority or it'd be one or two of us there. So no, I'm excited for where the game is going for baseball, especially for African Americans. But this period of baseball, I'm excited about it. It's always good, you know, to always break barriers. And I'm glad that, again, Dusty Baker, somebody that played with Hank Aaron, like I said, he had a ring as a player, but to have a ring as a manager. And again, also shout out to Dusty Baker too as well, man. Another shout out. He came in with that after that whole cheating scandal and just I'm gonna say cleaned house, but he put things back together. Like, remember, there was that cheating scandal, and they hired Dusty Baker, which when I know they hired him, everybody, and it wasn't everybody's favorite hire. Let's not forget. It's not act like, oh, Dusty Baker's gonna save it. The Astros believed, well, again, shout out to the Astros, but they believed in him and what he can do. And he came in and turned this organization around. I know they interviewed the GM of the Astros, And he said, he said, I let Dusty Baker manage the team. I stayed out of his way. One thing that I said he said, well, I would go out to dinner with him a couple times during the week or when we can. But for the most part, I stayed out the way and I let Dusty do his thing. I let him manage. If he ever needed me, he knew where to call. But I would check it with him once a week or once every couple of weeks just to see if he needs anything. But saying that is like when you have a GM that talks a coach or a manager like that talks about a coach and manager like that and gives them that type of freedom. To me, that's belief. That's like, okay, I believe I hired the right guy for this, especially coming out this cheating scandal that can turn this around and take that negative black eye off us and put a positive light on it. So again, for him to put him in place to succeed, I mean, in the believing Dusty Baker and which he did, another shout out to the Astros. Another shout out to the Astros. So, like I said, man, I had no run in the race. Like I said, I chose the Phillies, but like I said, I wasn't gonna be mad at Dusty Baker won because Dusty Baker he's class personified. He's an African American that's won the World Series and that is able to put people in place. He was able to put the Astros in place to. Now, it wasn't just him. It's a lot of people behind the scenes that obviously won the baseball team. But for him to be the head of it, the face of the Astros, and then be able to put the Astros in position and the players. I mean, this you can tell that you're a great manager, a great coach by the players. Every player said right after the game, we're happy that we got this for Dusty. We're happy we got this for Dusty. We're happy we got this for Dusty. So, shout out to Scarface. He out there with part of the Ghetto Boys, Houston. Again, man, like I said, 2,000 wins, Mr. 2K. So I mean, it's good for the city. It's just good for the sport of baseball that it puts more sight. It puts more light and sight on baseball, especially for African Americans. But like I said before, it's just good that he has the respect of his coaches. I mean, players, management, just people all around in Houston. He has the respect. So he's definitely going to be in Cooperstown. He's definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt about that. But I just want to spend a little more time and give Dusty Baker his flowers by saving it for last. And I'm glad that he won the World Series. I know he'll be back to defend it. But Dusty Baker, live it up. Congrats. Live it up. Congrats to you, man. We'll see you next year. I know that it's going to be a lot of teams going to be gunning for you. So, but I know you have the Astros ready next year. The whole Astros team is going to be ready next year. But what's going to be interesting is going to be the off season. I think most of the Astros are coming back. No, they are. So I don't think this. Yeah, for 10 years in this rookie deal. I think the 2 weeks so locked up. But it should be interesting off season. We'll see, and I'll cover that. A little later on. But this is just the World Series coverage for the Phillies and the Astros. Again, Astros the World Series champ. Second time in their organization. They won last time they won in 2017. Shout out to you guys, man. Made my pick look wrong, but I'm not mad at Dusty Baker winning the chip. But as always, man, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the support during all the coverage. Since I had my predictions since game 1 or before the game, a lot of love, a lot of comments, a lot of views. I really appreciate that. Definitely we'll cover baseball more. And as always, please stay in the comments, like, subscribe. As always, stay up, stay blessed. It's your boy Bobby. Peace.